Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. Today I'm going to show you how I make a lovely dog bed. Dog beds are really expensive and also really too thin. They're often too thin and not suitable for a dog at all because not only are they not comfortable, but it causes all sorts of joint problems and ulcer problems, all kinds of problems if a dog is laying basically on the floor because the dog bed is too thin. So let me show you how I get around this problem. So this is a dog bed that I have out on my landing upstairs, and Albert, my little old white dog, it's his bed and he absolutely loves it. And it's very, very simple, very, very cheap, but so squishy and lovely. So first of all, let me show you how. So you can see how high it is off the floor. So you've got the actual bed, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you've got these pillows. And it is so, that is so squishy and so deep. And like when you lean on that, it's so, look and you see how squishy and gorgeous that is. And Albert's only little, so that has more effect on him. It's really, really far off the ground, you can see. So if you look, all it is just a normal dog bed that you buy from the pet shop. And it is probably, I don't know how much we paid. We didn't actually buy this one. This bed came with hubs, so I don't know how much it is. But you know the kind of bed, you can see it, you get them all the time. It looks reasonably soft, but that is not enough, it's not. Because if you feel that, you can feel the floor. I can feel the floor. And that's just me pushing on it. So the weight of a dog, that is gonna feel the floor. You can really easily be misled and think, oh no, look, it comes with a lovely cushion. That's lovely, but it's not enough, and it will cause all sorts of joint problems. So whenever anybody in my house says, I need a new pillow, I put the old pillows up in the loft, and they are perfect for this. So I've got 2 pillows that go on top of this bed. And now that I've just really sort of made it new, you can see how high that is and how lovely and squishy that is. I always do the same with old pillowcases. I always have some old pillowcases up in the loft so that I can cover it up with old pillowcases. There's something else that I do is, if you haven't got the dog bed at the bottom, don't waste money going out and buying it. You could just use the pillows. And what you could do is get a duvet cover and put the pillows in the duvet cover, and then that will hold all the pillows together so that they don't slide off. And again, you can just take the duvet cover off and then put that in the washing machine and keep it all nice and clean. And it amazes me how long these pillows last. I don't know how long I've put these ones on here for, but it's been a long time. They really last. And even if you haven't got any pillows up in your loft, you could buy some because they don't cost that much. You can get them really quite cheap. And they last and they last. Look, there's a good angle of how high that bed is. Can you see how high that bed is? Gorgeous. And very, very cheap. Right, so let me show you Humps. If you watch my videos, you'll have seen this bit before, but please stick with me because I've got some good ideas. What happened was, we were getting rid of a sofa, happened to coincide with the exact same time that Humps here came to live with us. And so that base, I don't want to touch it because I don't disturb him, but all that brown base is one of the cushions off the sofa. So we got that for completely free, and then I've just put this gorgeous thick fleecy blanket on top, and that is an absolute ideal bed for him, absolutely ideal. Now what happened was, that's going to last for years, and the sofa has 4 cushions on it, so I've got another 3 of these up in the loft for many, many dogs to come, so I'm not going to need any dog beds for a long, long time. When he first came to us, he had really, really crippling arthritis, really bad. It was in a lot of pain and he couldn't lift his legs. So what I did was, and I have done this before with dogs, especially massive breeds, duvets. If you get duvets, one isn't enough. You do need 2 or 3. And don't get summer ones, they're too thin. So you do need like a wintered duvet, so quite a heavy tog. And get 2 or 3 of them and fold them into like 4. So they're probably about the same size as this bed here. They make excellent dog beds because as long as you've got enough duvets, you can get the bed really nice and thick. And what happened with Humps when we first got him, he couldn't lift his leg. So he wouldn't have been able to climb up onto 3 duvets. So I just put 1 duvet on the floor, but I folded it into 4. And for probably the first month until we got his legs sorted, that really worked, because so if you've got a really, the thing is, if you've got a really old dog, they might be struggling to get onto a higher bed, then that would be a really good solution, because you've got to get them off. You have got to get them a comfortable bed. If you've got an old dog with arthritis, you've got to get them off the floor. You're going to do them so much damage having them on the floor. I have a whole series on arthritis and dogs. I'll stick the playlist up at the end. So a duvet was what we did first, and that was high enough just for while he was that bad, but it would not have been a long-term solution because it wasn't thick enough. To be thick enough, you would have had to have 3 or 4 duvets, and that would have been quite high, and that he would never have been able to get on that. But luckily, we've sorted the arthritis out, things are going great, and he is able to get up onto this bed here. This is just his bed. The other dogs aren't allowed to go on it. It's just his bed. And you can see, I mean, if that was bigger, I'd sleep on that. I mean, that really is a lovely, lovely solution. So I'm not saying that you're going to be throwing your sofa out, but, you know, you could keep an eye out. Maybe if next time you go to the tip, see if there's any sofas that are looking a bit like, you know, you might just be able to ask if you could have some of the cushions off them. It's a really, really good solution. Well, this is a bed that we actually bought. I haven't made this at all. It is a special treat for them, really. Albert was getting older, and so I think it was for Christmas, and we bought them. We bought this a good few years ago now. I've had it a long time, but it was very expensive. I think we paid about £120 for this dog bed. Yeah, I know. You get to choose which feet you want. You get to choose what kind of orthopedic base you want and the topper that you want. You're very expensive, but it does do the job. It's off the ground. It's lovely. But that was a very special treat for them. Not something that I would generally do. We do have smaller versions of these upstairs, which I'll show you. Right, so this is the smaller version of the beds that I showed you downstairs. So these beds are up on my landing, because I like my dogs to sleep out on the landing. The bedroom doors are open. They can come on the bed if they want to, but I really don't like it because they kick and they interfere with my sleep. So my theory is, if I put them really lovely, tempting beds out in the landing, they'll sleep on them. And I'm unbelievably happy that it worked and that's what they're doing. So these, you can see, they are the smaller version of the bed that we've got downstairs. And I have 2 small ones, basically because the landing is narrow, and that works out just like that. Just putting 2 small ones together. Right, another solution that I've done in the past. So in the past I've had giant dog breeds, and so this is quite hard because obviously they're so heavy. So what I did was, one of them in particular, you know those dog beds where it's basically they're just made out of plastic. So the whole dog bed is just plastic. There's no sponge, nothing. It's just plastic. But they're massive, and they're meant for, you can get them all sizes, but you can get them in a massive size for massive dog breeds. This is my Albert. He's not homeless. He just always looks like he's homeless. He's just one of those dogs that's always got his head in the mud, and he's just generally a bit grubby. Regardless of all the cleaning and grooming that I do with him. Those plastic dog beds, what I used to do was go to the charity shop. Now, what happens at charity shops are they get given a load of blankets, but they can't sell them all because a lot of them aren't good enough to sell. And so if you go in there and tell them that you've got a dog and you're open, you'd like to have those blankets, you know, they'll give them to you really cheap because they're happy to get money for something and they haven't got to try and get rid of them. So if you go into them and tell them you've got a dog, and if any old blankets come in that they can't sell, could they put them to one side? You know, and you make sure you go in regularly so that they keep them for you. You can quickly get a load of blankets, and then even one of those big plastic things, you could fill that all up with really lovely blankets, and it's a really thick, lovely bed for your dog, and it really doesn't cost much at all. I've done that when I've had giant breeds, done it for years, and they get to know you, and they save them for you, and you can just rotate them. It's a really good way to have a lovely, thick, lovely cosy bed for your dog. Another thing that I do, I haven't done it at the moment. Where are you going? I'm recording. You can't just walk off. Oh, you can walk off. Okay, we have to use you. Can we use you? Yeah, we'll use little Albert. Yeah, well, don't you got to walk off as well? He's thinking about it. We might have to go back to humps. Yeah, you're walking off as well. All right then. we have to stick with humps. Are you going to stay with me, darling? Yeah, you are. Something I've done in the past is, and I don't know if you can do this in all countries, but in the UK, you get shops where you can go and buy fabric from. And in those shops, they sell big squares of foam, like spongy foam, for people that are making their own sofas, or if they're making cushions and stuff like that. And they want to fill the cushion or the sofa up with like this thick sponge stuff. You can go in there and you can buy squares of sponge. Now, again, sometimes you can get offcuts and they'll let you have it for cheap. Sometimes some of them can be big enough for you to make a dog bed, or you might just have to pay full price. But either way, it's cheap, it's really cheap. And the sponge, make sure you get the good quality thick sponge. And you might have to put a few of them on top of each other. And again, just cover it up either with a duvet cover or a blanket or sheet or something, so you can take that off and wash it whenever it gets mucky. Right, now, so I obviously, as you can tell, I let my dogs onto my sofas. It has trashed the sofas. There's no question about it. They lie along the back of the sofas because that's the comfiest part. And without question, they do trash my sofa. There's no two ways about that. But what you could do is, and Humps, the one over here, at night time, he doesn't come upstairs with us. He can if he wants to, but he chooses not to. He gets off his bed there and he goes and sits. He sleeps up on that sofa there. And I think it's because he sleeps exactly where I sit. So that's where I sit all day to work. And he goes and sleeps on there. And then you can see we've got Albert here. This is his favourite spot on this arm of the chair. So it does definitely ruin the sofas. There's no two ways about that. But I have no problem at all with dogs being up on the sofas with me. And so I do let my dogs on the sofas. And obviously that's a very comfortable thing for them to be sleeping on. But what you could do, if you didn't want all of your sofas ruined, and I'll completely understand that if you didn't, you could have one sofa for you and one sofa for the dogs, and be very strict about it. They must not get on your sofa. That works well. I've seen lots of people do that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine me not letting you on the sofas? Look at the look. The other thing you could do is, if you've got perhaps a bigger dog and you have to be a little bit more aware of the pack hierarchy. I'm all about pack hierarchy and all about it. And if I had a giant breed, so when I've had German Shepherds, I haven't let them on the sofa. They've had to stay on their bed. I haven't let them on the sofa. But if I had a giant breed now, and if I had a room, because this takes a lot of room, I wouldn't be against letting them have their own sofa. And again, being really strict about they have to stay on their sofa and they are not allowed on your sofa. But you've obviously got to have enough room to have a spare sofa in your lounge, and probably not many people really have the room for a spare sofa. But if you do, if I had the room for a spare sofa and I had a giant breed, I would do that. But I don't have the room and I don't have a giant breed, so it's not a problem for me. So just a quick note on dog crates. So if you know anything about me, you'll know I am so against putting dogs into dog crates. It causes so many behavioural problems. I get contacted throughout the day all the time about people who've got problems with dogs. And anytime there's a behavioural problem, the first question I ask is, do you keep your dog in a dog crate? And you wouldn't believe how many times I say yes. As soon as we get rid of the dog crate, problem sorted. But it's not always that easy. Sometimes the dog crate ingrains the problem and it's really hard for them to get rid of. So I'm so against dog crates, but I'm against them because of the behavioural issues they cause. However, I very, very rarely see anybody with a dog crate that has a beautiful, comfortable, thick bed in them. It's very often just a blanket on the plastic dog crate, which is just not nice. I mean, this massively is all about bone health and making sure their joints are good and making sure that you've got them off the floor. But it's also just about them having a lovely bed. You know, I wouldn't want it. Would you want to lie on the floor with just a little thin blanket? They're no different. Bones are bones, joints are joints, muscles are muscles. And it's the same thing. And so it's just about letting a dog have a lovely, lovely place where they can go to sleep. So that's it. That's how I make dog beds. So if you've got suggestions, please put them into comments. I'd really be interested to hear, and so would other people watching this video, how you make a lovely cosy dog bed. I'd be very interested to hear. And if you try any of the ideas that I've given you, I would really love to hear that. I'm on TikTok, Twitter and Instagram, so you could tag me in on any pictures. I would really love that if you tag me in on pictures of your dog on one of a really lovely cozy bed. I can retweet that and we can share it and give the ideas to other dog owners to help their dogs out with that. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.